What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Brandon Smith. So today I will be covering the story that is told in the very first episode of my favorite show in the whole wide world, Disappeared. I know, an individual who covers missing persons cases on their true crime YouTube channel's favorite show is Disappeared. What a shocker, right? Well, what can I say? I am an unapologetic stereotype. Anyhow, after writing this script, I am currently sitting at a whopping word count of 6,127, and as a result, I'm pretty certain this is going to be my longest video to date. So, what do you say we cut short the intro and get right into today's case? Today is Thursday, August 3rd, 2006. The song Promiscuous by Canadian songbird Nelly Furtado, featuring American producer Timbaland, is #1 on the Billboard charts. The film Miami Vice, starring Jamie Foxx and Colin Farrell, is #1 at the box office. And later today, the ball that slugger Barry Bonds hit to become second on Major League Baseball's list of all-time home run hitters fetches a then record $220,100 on internet auction site eBay in San Francisco, California. 1,830 miles southeast of San Francisco, in Longview, Texas, 23-year-old Brandi Wells leaves a nightclub just after midnight. Hours later, her car is found haphazardly parked along the highway, but the young woman herself is nowhere to be found. This day in mystery. Wednesday, August 2nd, 2006, in Tyler, Texas, is hot and humid. With a daytime high of 97 degrees Fahrenheit, residents of the Lone Star State are feeling the heat, oh so characteristic of the American South. Brandi Wells has experienced this season in Texas 23 times over. Daughter of namesake single mother Ellen Tant, Brandi Ellen Wells is as sweet as apple pie. A voracious reader with a passion for extracurricular activities, the 5-foot dynamo has already made the most of her young life. Brandi sings choir at her church. At Chapel Hill High School, she plays flute in the band. At the University of Texas at Tyler, she stars in the Flag Corps, a ceremonial troupe that has evolved in the halftime show of sporting events. But, as often happens in life, priorities change and new interests take precedent. In 2004, Wells meets a man and falls in love. The two are married soon thereafter. The newly betrothed couple stays in Texas but heads west, making their matrimonial home in San Antonio. Life is tough for the pair in the shadow of the Alamo, however, and Brandi and her new beau divorce within a year of moving. Wells bounces around the state for a couple of years, but in 2006, she returns home. Back in Tyler now, she dedicates all of her resources to restoring her life. Brandi finds a great apartment in nearby Brownsboro and moves in with a roommate. She finds work at a local Walmart. Wells enrolls at Trinity Valley Community College, and after an outstanding Flag Corps tryout, she is granted a scholarship by the institution. The young woman is clearly on a roll, and bright things are on the horizon for Brandi Wells. But right now, school is weeks from starting, and Brandi's first shift at Walmart is scheduled for the following Monday. So, on August 2nd, Wells decides to have a little fun. At 7:30 p.m., Brandi arrives at her mom Ellen's apartment in Tyler. Although things are looking up for the 20-something, Brandi still hasn't started work yet, and as such, her finances are tight. So much so that Wells asks her mom to borrow some money so that she can go out on the town. However, Tant is also cash strapped. She doesn't get paid until Friday, so she can't help out. Brandi asks the woman if she can then borrow her car, as she is also nearly out of gas. Ellen explains that she too is almost out of gas and has just enough to make it to work and back the following day, so again, she is unable to lend assistance. The younger woman says that she understands and thanks her mom anyways. Wells next visits with her younger sister Georgia. In the high school junior's bedroom, she makes full use of her sister's ample wardrobe. Brandi borrows a few clothes and changes into the new garments. Wells tells her little sister that she is headed to Graham Central Station in Longview, Texas, a city 40 miles northeast of Tyler, that evening, and asks her if she'd like to come with. However, Georgia is not feeling well, so she passes. Back in the living room, the older Wells sister debuts her new outfit for her mother. Ellen tells Brandi that she looks very cute. The young woman thanks her mom for the compliment and leaves the apartment at 8 p.m., wishing her family members well as she goes. At 8:15 p.m., Brandi arrives at Green Acres Bowl, a bowling alley in Tyler. Tending the bar that night is Wells' family friend, Jeanette Green. Brandi bellies up to the counter. Wells and Green are very close, so naturally, the two are very happy to make company after a great deal of time apart. After exchanging pleasantries, Brandi tells Jeanette that her mom has permitted her to order a drink on her tab. This is a fib. Ellen has not said anything of the sort, but Jeanette is unaware, so she places the requested cherry vodka sour just in front of Brandi, the woman she has known since she was a baby. Green asks Wells what her plans for the evening are. Brandi tells Jeanette her plans. The bartender, aware of Longview's rough reputation, tries to warn the young woman off the trip. Brandi is undeterred, however, and after downing half of the potent potable, she bids goodbye to Jeanette and departs the bowling alley at 9:23 p.m. Bound for Longview, Wells arrives at Grand Central Station at exactly 10:35 p.m. At 10:44 p.m., surveillance footage captures Brandi Wells swiping her license at the club's main entrance. Inside the bar, Brandi is anything but your standard revel rouser. Rather than flirting and dancing as one usually does, Wells instead spends the next 90 minutes telling people about her gas insufficiency and declining drinks. At 12:29 a.m. on the morning of August 3rd, CCTV captures Brandi leaving the club the same way that she entered, almost entirely sober and completely broke. Almost 9 hours after Brandi was last seen leaving Graham Central Station, a Texas state trooper comes across an eerie scene. A 2000 Pontiac Grand Prix is parked haphazardly along the interstate amongst the shoulder weeds. One of the black car's doors is slightly ajar. Upon closer inspection, the officer finds a purse on the back seat of the vehicle. Just underneath the handbag on the floorboards of the car is a 1-gallon neoprene gas can. The scene is certainly unusual, but there is nothing to indicate that the car has been in an accident or is part of a crime. The The officer calls in the plates and the vehicle is not listed as stolen, so the trooper places a sticker on the car's windshield denoting the vehicle as abandoned. He shuts the ajar door completely and heads back to patrolling the Texas thoroughfares. At about the same time, back in Tyler, Ellen Tant is just waking up. In the living room of her 2-bedroom apartment, Ellen finds Brandi's makeup bag, but no sign of the woman herself. She takes a peek into George's room and sees only one of her 2 daughters inside. Tant figures that her daughter has more than likely imbibed too much the previous evening and is probably sleeping off a wicked hangover at one of her friend's house and thinks little of the absence as she goes about her day. In the afternoon, Ellen receives a call from Brandi's roommate. The man claims that his apartment mate was supposed to be home that morning, but he has yet to hear from her. He asks Tant, "Is she there?" She tells him that Brandi is not there. After hanging up the phone, Ellen immediately tries to make contact with her daughter. Tant's calls go straight to voicemail. A 23-year-old not connecting with their mother after a night of drinking is certainly not unusual, so Ellen still does the best to make the most of her day. However, on the morning of August 4th, with still no word from Brandi, Tant knows that something is very wrong. She places a call to Wells' godmother, Michelle Cole, and tells the woman that Brandi is missing. Now, both Ellen and Michelle bombard Brandi's cell phone with transmissions. Shortly after 8 a.m., the women fill the device's mailbox to capacity. An hour later, Ellen Tant calls Tyler police to report her daughter, Brandi Wells, as missing. An officer from the Tyler Police Department arrives at Ellen's apartment shortly after receiving the call about the missing 20-something. The lawman asks Tant where her daughter was last known to be headed before disappearing. Ellen tells the police officer that Brandi was headed for a nightclub called the Electric Cowboy just a few miles down the road, or at least she assumes. However, Georgia interjects and says that this was not Brandi's destination on the night of August 2nd. She says that her sister was actually planning to visit Graham Central Station in Longview, Texas. After concluding the interview with the Tyler police officer and now aware of Brandi's actual destination, Ellen summons Michelle to journey to Grand Central Station to search for the missing woman. Tant remains at the apartment to make herself available should Wells try to call. In Longview, Cole arrives at Grand Central Station and finds a deserted nightclub. Brandi's godmother walks around the bar and wades deep into the forest that surrounds the Longview hotspot. She shouts with increasing desperation for her goddaughter, but birds and crickets are all that Michelle hears back. The next 2 days are fraught with concern. On Sunday, August 6th, when Ellen calls the Tyler Police Department looking for an update on her daughter's case, she is told that since it is now known that Brandi planned on visiting Longview on the night she disappeared, that agency would have jurisdiction over the investigation. And as such, the officer tells Ellen that she must file a brand new missing persons report in Longview. The distraught mother makes the 40-minute sojourn east immediately after the call. In Longview now, Sergeant Darren Lair takes the report, but his nonchalant attitude strikes a nerve with Ellen. Darren thanks the woman for coming in and instructs Tant to give him a call later when Brandi inevitably shows up. On Tuesday, August 8th, the Tyler Police Department gets a call about an abandoned car on the westbound portion of Interstate 20. The license plate on the vehicle reads J50ZTD, and when the lawman runs the tag, the car comes back as registered to missing person Brandi Wells. The Longview Police Department is briefed on the discovery, and a crime scene unit and search dogs are soon on the scene of the deserted vehicle. The scent canines are unable to lock onto a smell. Responding officers note that the heavy rain in the preceding days may be an issue for the dogs. In the backseat of the car, CSU technicians find a tan leather purse. The handbag contains all of Brandi Wells' identification. Investigators also find the gas can on the floor of the car behind the driver's seat. They cannot determine whether it has been used, but no fuel exists within the container now. Police visit nearby gas stations, picture of Brandi in hand. No one reports having seen the woman at any time. Surveillance from the gas station also yields no appearance of Wells. In the console of the car, detectives find a cell phone. On the passenger seat of the vehicle, a napkin is found with a man's name and phone number printed on it. Police contact the man behind the number. He tells detectives that he met Brandi at Graham Central Station on the night of August 2nd. He admits to giving her his number, but says that their interaction never extended beyond that moment. He didn't see her afterwards, and Wells never called him. The vehicle's driver's seat is pushed back to its furthest limit. The team dusts the car for fingerprints. Strangely, only one is found anywhere in the car. A thumbprint is present on the driver's side window. Since Brandi's fingerprints are not on file, the impression cannot be identified as belonging to her. Wells' vehicle is found just miles from I-20's Tyler exit, but oddly, the car is located in the westbound lane of the highway, the direction to Longview, not away from. The keys to the vehicle are not found in the car or surrounding area. As such, police commission a local mechanic to forge a key. When detectives use the instrument to start the vehicle, the engine switches on but terminates only seconds after ignition. Police assume the car is out of gas, so they fill the vehicle and try again. The car elicits the same response. After detectives have the vehicle towed back to the station, a bureau mechanic informs investigators that the reason the car would not start properly was because the 2000 Pontiac Grand Prix was equipped with a theft deterrent system. The keys to this particular vehicle contained a smart chip, an element that, when not present upon ignition, renders the vehicle undrivable. Longview police realized that filling Brandi's car with gas was thus a critical mistake, as they will never now know how much, if any, Brandi's vehicle contained at the time of its discovery. Worried about further compromising their investigation, Longview police reach out to the Federal Bureau of Investigation for assistance. After being brought up to speed on the investigation, the FBI and Longview police converge on Graham Central Station. They interview patrons and employees. All those who are interviewed say that Brandi's behavior was highly unremarkable. She didn't dance. Wells was offered many drinks, but she always declined. Brandi had just one beer, if any, and mostly stayed to herself. However, everyone who is interviewed is also consistent about another of Wells' tendencies from that evening. She said that she was out of gas and needed money. No one reports giving Brandi any money. Police confiscate the security footage from the club and make a copy of Graham Central Station's identification log. They determine that Brandi swiped her ID at 10:44 p.m. They scroll through the footage to that time and find the individual in the surveillance behind the scan. On Wednesday, August 9th, images of this person are broadcast to television stations across the state. When Ellen watches the news, she knows right away that the woman on her screen is not Brandi. Tant calls the police to inform them immediately. Brandi's mom says that while the woman on television is similar in height and weight to her daughter, she knows that it is not her because Wells wasn't wearing what the woman in the video was wearing when she left her apartment. The detectives aren't willing to budge and insist that Brandi may have changed before hitting up the night spot. Still images of the woman thought to be Brandi Wells continue to circulate, much to the chagrin of Ellen Tant. Longview PD and the FBI turn their attention to the cell phone found in Brandi's car. Every single person on the device's contact list is called. No one reports knowing where Wells is currently. Bizarrely, some indicate that they don't even know who Brandi Wells is. On Thursday, August 17th, investigators present Ellen and Georgia with everything found in Brandi's car. When they are shown the cell phone, the two women shock investigators when they tell them that this is not Brandi's phone. The device instead belongs to Wells' former boyfriend, a man who is currently serving military duties overseas. So Brandi's actual cell phone, like the woman herself, is still missing. Georgia and Ellen state that Wells was not much of a planner, so the presence of a gas can in the missing woman's vehicle is noted as odd. Additionally, they tell police that the driver's seat being pushed all the way back in the Grand Prix is also strange, as Brandi was only 5 feet tall. Surveillance photos of Brandi, believed to be false by Ellen, continue to appear on broadcast throughout the state. Frustrated by the incorrectness of these images, on September 14th, Tant demands to see the full complement of Graham Central Station CCTV from August 2nd to August 3rd. To humor the bereaved woman, law enforcement agrees to the demand. Ellen finds the real Brandi in the footage in just under 10 minutes. At 10:35 p.m. in the outfit she left Tant's apartment wearing, Wells enters the nightclub. Graham Central Station management further confirms the positive identification by informing police that their identification scanner was providing inaccurate time captures. The surveillance also shows Brandi leaving at 12:29 a.m. The accurate images of Brandi Wells are circulated in the media with accompanying pleas for witnesses and anyone who may have interacted with her to come forward. But all currency is lost as these realistic depictions are distributed to the news over 6 weeks after Brandi was last seen, and no further witnesses contact authorities. On September 20th, Ellen reaches out to a man named Bob Smither. Bob's daughter Laura was abducted and murdered in April 1997. To honor his daughter's memory, Smither started a non-profit organization that works to prevent kidnappings and abductions and to recover victims of such events. Usually, the organization focuses their efforts only on children. At the time of her disappearance, Brandi was 23 years old. However, touched by Brandi's story and hypersensitive to Ellen's plight, Bob agrees to help. On September 26, Smither, Tant, and hundreds of volunteers arrive at Grand Central Station to search the grounds. The collective spans out to the location where Wells' car was found and concludes in the nether regions of Longview proper. No sign of the missing woman is found. In December 2006, the Laura Recovery Center embarks on a second search. Ellen and Bob are present once again. However, this time, the number of volunteers is halved. Again, nothing is found. In January 2007, Ellen contacts Texas EquiSearch, another organization also dedicated to the recovery of missing persons. This group agrees to conduct a third search. This time, only Ellen, her husband, Georgia, and 2 Texas EquiSearch team members are present. Again, no sign of Brandi Wells is found. In the coming weeks and months, more Texas women unfortunately go missing. The media spotlight pivots and attention to Brandi's disappearance wanes. But 2 women in Tyler still long to know what happened to their sister and their daughter. No one knows why Brandi went to Longview on the night she disappeared. Police believe that if they could determine Wells' motivation for visiting Grand Central Station, they may be closer to knowing what became of her. According to Brandi's friends and family, she did not know anyone in this area. Wells's phone records seem to bear out this fact, and no one interviewed by police admit to agreeing to meet Brandi at Grand Central Station on the night she disappeared. As previously indicated, everyone at the bar said that Wells stayed mostly to herself and didn't interact with any one individual for any great amount of time. However, one person present at Grand Central Station did recount for the family years later a scary encounter that she and Brandi had allegedly had with a Hispanic man hours before Wells disappeared. According to the woman, the unidentified Latino man had been pursuing Wells throughout the night, and, unaware of his motivation, the 2 women were doing their best to avoid the lurker, even going so far as to hide in the women's bathroom at some point during the night. This description of events seemingly contradicted the testimony of all others present at Grand Central Station. And when Ellen asked the woman to bring this new story to law enforcement, the woman simply says that she doesn't want to get involved. Particular attention is given to the CCTV footage of Brandi leaving the club. Wells is captured leaving Grand Central Station very near to a man in a white cowboy hat. Their interaction at this point is ambiguous, and whether or not the 2 leave together has become the focus of much speculation. However, when Brandi and the man in the cowboy hat disappear off camera, they do appear to be headed in the same general direction. Could this have been the Hispanic man Brandi was desperate to avoid? Could this have been a different individual who potentially called out to Wells with a nefarious offer of assistance just out of the camera's sightline? The answers remain unknown, as the man in the white cowboy hat has never been identified. At the time of her disappearance, Brandi was on a phone plan with her former boyfriend's sister. When Wells went missing, Ellen reached out to the owner of Brandi's cell phone account, and the woman mailed Tant the records. On August 2nd, Brandi made 2 calls to Graham Central Station, one at 10:02 p.m. and one at 10:19 p.m. According to the nightclub staff, both of the calls were Wells asking for directions to the location. After this, all outbound communication stops and only a litany of incoming calls from concerned family members and friends exist on the device. However, after 8 days, the device starts making calls again. Lots of calls. Over 500 phone calls are placed between August 11th and 17th. Not one of the communications lasts longer than 3 minutes. Since Ellen has possession of the cell phone records, she knows all of the numbers Brandi's phone has been calling. She forwards the logs to investigators, and detectives are quickly able to determine the source of the newfound hyperactivity, and it is not Brandi Wells. Instead, an unnamed man and his niece are found to be in possession of the phone. When police ask them where they got it from, they say it was given to them by a friend. This friend is no stranger to authorities. He has a lengthy rap sheet. When police catch up to the man and ask him how he came to be in possession of the mobile, he explains that he was walking on the south side of Longview, an area known for crime and high methamphetamine traffic, when he found the phone beeping under a tree. The location of the tree the man mentions, authorities note, is just 3 blocks from the exit where Brandi's car was found. The man said that he had been using the phone ever since and only gave it away to his friends because it had died and he had no ability to charge the device. Police are skeptical of the man's story. They doubt that a phone lost on August 3rd could still omit a beeping noise 8 days later without battery assistance. The uncle and niece combination to whom the man gave the phone agree to take a polygraph test, and they pass. However, when the man who found the phone is asked to take the same test, he declines. When asked if this unidentified man is a suspect, Longview Police Sergeant Darren Lair says, "I do believe that there is more to the circumstances of him finding the phone than he is willing to tell me." However, Lair continues that other than once having been in possession of the phone, I have no way and no reason to say that he could have had anything to do with Brandi Wells' disappearance. On October 28, 2006, less than 3 months after Brandi Wells disappeared, a burning body is found in a Kilgore, Texas oil field, 12 miles from where Brandi's car was found. Officials arrive and put out the blaze. The deceased remains are that of a woman. A gas can is found near the body, and an autopsy reveals the presence of semen, meaning that the woman was likely raped and murdered before being brutally set on fire post-mortem. The dead woman is believed to be a white or possibly Hispanic female between the ages of 17 and 25. Brandi was 23 years old when she went missing. The face of the corpse is burned beyond recognition, so a clay composite is commissioned in hopes of identifying the unknown individual. Upon seeing the reconstruction, Brandi Wells' mom, Ellen Tant, believes the face resembles her missing daughter. Ellen submits her DNA for forensic comparison. Subsequent analysis determines that the dead woman is not Brandi. law enforcement named the unidentified woman Lavender Doe. On July 20th, 2018, a woman named Felicia Pearson is reported missing by her mother. 4 days later, her body is found in some brush off West Birdsong Street in Longview, Texas. The next day, Felicia's live-in boyfriend, 47-year-old Joseph Wayne Burnett, is arrested and charged with Pearson's murder. While in custody, Burnett tells authorities that in 2006, he picked up a woman selling magazines in front of the local Walmart. He says that in his car, he sexually assaulted the woman before ultimately strangling her to death. Joseph says that he did not know the identity of who he killed, but tells authorities that he disposed of the woman's body by setting it on fire in a Kilgore oil field. With this information, police now know who killed Lavender Doe, but still don't know who she is. Less than a year later, thanks to the DNA Doe Project, the victim, known as Lavender Doe for 13 years, is finally given back her identity. The unknown decedent is Dana Lynn Dodd. Dana had been abandoned by her mother when she was just a baby. Dodd's father was homeless, so she spent most of her life living with her stepmother and half-siblings in Jacksonville, Florida. However, at just the age of 17, Dana ran away from home. How exactly she arrived in Longview, Texas 3 years later to meet her grisly fate isn't known. With so much death surrounding Joseph Wayne Burnett, including a confessed homicide less than 3 months after Brandi went missing, just miles from where she disappeared, police have to take a serious look at the alleged serial killer. Burnett is a prolific sexual predator with a serious rap sheet and convicted killer. However, Joseph Burnett has always denied having any involvement in the disappearance of Brandi Wells, and Texas authorities cannot establish any definitive connection between the two. On December 15, 2020, Burnett pleads guilty to the murders of Dana Lynn Dodd and Felicia Pearson. He is sentenced to 50 years in prison. All right, so what do I think happened? The story of Brandi Wells is unbelievably tragic. A young woman who, after some early setbacks, was just beginning to truly hit her stride, goes missing before getting to capitalize on the promise of this breakthrough. On a personal level, Brandi's story has always struck a chord with me. Wells is just 19 months my senior. A lot of people are quick to disparage her decision to visit a nearby city and hang out without the necessary means to do so. But I have to tell you, on the night of August 2nd, 2006, it's extremely likely that I was doing much of the same. This particular year, I was going into my senior year of university, and it was the best summer of my life. Can't even begin to remember the amount of times I took a cab from Ottawa to Hull with little money and less idea of how I would get home. It is absolutely humbling as I look back now and think that while I merely faced a long walk across Chartier Bridge with a serious headache, Brandi's experience was much more unfortunate. She never made it home. So let's talk about theories. And the first theory isn't really a theory at all, but rather, what the heck was Brandi doing in Longview to begin with? So why do I think Brandi was in Longview? Well, I don't really know, but I don't believe that Wells was there to meet anyone in particular. Reason for this? Threefold. First, police interviewed everyone in Brandi's life. Authorities had her phone records, and there was nothing to indicate that Wells had any intentions of meeting up with someone in Longview. Secondly, Brandi was something of an open book. She was forthcoming with her friends and family about both her social life and her romantic interests. Wells also told her roommate, Georgia, and Jeanette where she was going. Why wouldn't she mention to any of them who she was meeting? And finally, and I think most decisively, is the fact that surveillance from Graham Central Station did not identify Brandi associating with any one individual more than another. Witnesses at the club attested to the same. I think if Wells was meeting someone at the club, there would be evidence of this. We would see a definitive connection and we would be able to identify this person. I believe that we may never know exactly why Brandi chose to visit Longview that night. However, I think Wells's decision was less tedious planner with a prearranged rendezvous and more mercurial 20-something looking for a change of scenery. Next, let's talk about the man who found the cell phone. This man has never been publicly identified, but according to police, he has a long history of criminal offenses. This man told authorities that he found Brandi's phone in a very rough part of Longview, an area renowned for criminal activity. He was known to frequent, and not to mention, just blocks away from where Wells' car was found. Granted, all of these factors can certainly be considered suspicious, but hear me out for a second. If this individual did abduct Brandi, why would he start using her phone 8 days after taking her? Why would he use her phone at all? Certainly, this would only serve to put him at the forefront of investigators' focus. Now, a lot has been made of this man's story, his tale of how he came into possession of the phone itself. Doubters ask the question, how could a phone maintain battery after 8 days removed from a power source? And the answer is pretty easily. According to a study by Stanford University, the average battery life of a cell phone in standby mode for the year 2006 was 258 hours, almost 11 full days. So while I do not know exactly what model of cell phone Brandi had, possibly a device manufactured prior to 2006, to still believe that it had substantial enough charge so as to emit a sound on August 11th, I think is pretty reasonable. So while this man was certainly up to no good after he came into possession of Brandi's phone, I do not believe that he was up to no good in obtaining the phone, so I am ruling him out. Last but certainly not least, we have Joseph Wayne Burnett, a miserable excuse of a human being and perpetual threat to women everywhere. Joseph is certainly a good candidate for our killer in this case. After all, in 2006, Burnett did abduct and kill a 20-something female that he had not known prior. That person was Dana Lynn Dodd. He very easily could have done the same to Brandi, but I don't think so. Consider how Joseph disposed of his victims. He set Dodd on fire in an oil field open to the public. He hid Felicia Pearson beneath some bushes just off of a well-traveled road. If Burnett did abduct and kill Brandi Wells, he really did change his modus operandi because she has never been found. I definitely think it is possible that Joseph killed other women, and I am so grateful that he is behind bars, as he truly is a menace to society. However, I do not believe he killed Brandi Wells. So, now that I've ruled out all of the theories, what then do I think happened? Well, I'm going off the board for this one. I think after leaving Graham Central Station on the morning of August 3rd, 2006, Brandi gets lost again. This time, the detour costs her dearly, and the young woman from Tyler finally runs out of gas. She angles her car off the road and comes to a soft crash amongst the weeds on Interstate 20. Wells gets out of her car and finds herself standing alone on the darkened highway. She reaches for her phone to call her mom and ask for help. However, just as she does, a car slows along the thoroughfare and cruises to a stop just beside the now stranded woman. "Everything okay?" a voice asks. "My car ran out of gas," Brandi responds, meekly secreting the phone back in her pocket as she does. The male motorist puts his car in park and exits the vehicle. "I can help," he tells Brandi. At the back of his car, he removes a plastic gas tank and hose from the trunk of his vehicle. "I know how to siphon gas," the man tells the woman, "and I just filled up, so you're in luck." Wells thanks the man profusely and goes to hug the kindly stranger, but something in the embrace awakes an emotion in the man, the polar opposite of kindness. Lust and dominance overcome the man on the Texas State Highway. He flings the gas can into the black Grand Prix while sliding the hose into his waistband. Still in the vicinity of his torso, he produces a gun from the pocket of his jeans. The Good Samaritan turned attacker positions the weapon just under the base of the woman's chin. The man tells Brandi to do as he says or he will kill her. He ushers her into his vehicle and drives his hostage away into the pitch black morning. As they pull off the highway, the man yells, "Your phone," at the terrified woman in the passenger seat. "My phone?" Wells asks. "You were on a phone when I pulled up. Where is it?" Brandi tells him the phone is in her pocket. The man commands her to throw it out the window and rolls down the aperture from his chair. Wells does as she is told and hurls the device away from the car. The man takes his detainee to his property in the heart of Longview. He stewards Brandi into his home and subjects her to hours and hours of abject horror. His perverted desires satisfied, Wells is now nothing more than a means to his prosecution. As such, he tragically ends the life of Brandi Wells before the sun rises on the Lone Star State on the morning of August 3rd, 2006. Considering the relatively small population of Tyler and Longview, Texas, and close-knit composition of both communities, it is somewhat remarkable just how many residents have never heard the name Brandi Wells. Ellen Tant places the blame for this reality squarely at the doorstep of both cities' respective police forces. Ellen believes that authorities have never cared to investigate her daughter's disappearance with any ferocity. As such, the forlorn mother holds herself accountable for keeping her daughter's investigation alive. Tant says that throughout the years, she alone has followed up on a lot of the leads and is frustrated that police never took Brandi's disappearance seriously. Longview Police spokeswoman Christy Bryan says that the department has not received many new leads over the past few years. She says that when they do receive new leads or information, they are investigated. Bryan claims that at present there is no new information to release beyond what we have released in the past. There is no current reward being offered in this case. Thank you so much for listening to the story of Brandi Wells. Please be sure to like and subscribe. As always, just before I go, please know that you are a wonderful individual who is capable of so much good. If you are struggling right now in any way, remember that we are all in this together and you are here for a reason. Myself and everyone else is rooting for you. Let's create an echo chamber of encouragement and an infrastructure of support to help each other along our respective journeys. I'm Brandon Smith, and I'll see you next time.